Pastor John coming to you today from one of my gardens that actually I'm in the process of destroying so I can go and kind of rebuild it and reconstruct it and make it all new, which is going to take a whole season to do. But I have some old plants in this garden that I want to try to protect if I can. In fact, what I'd like to do is multiply certain plants, and one of the plants are daylilies. I have a daylily here that I'm going to show you how to divide, and it's going to seem kind of radical what I'm doing. Basically what I've done, I've taken a clump of daylilies and I've already dug the clump out of the ground with as much soil on it as I can. Then I'm going to divide that into 4. So I will take my spade here and actually just go right into the middle of the clump. Just chop it into 4, and then I'll get on my knees and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and chop this thing up. So I'm just going to put my hoof on this. Actually, cut it that way. Cut it that way. Kind of split that apart. And then I'll show you what we're going to do. All right, so we have divided our clump into 4. We're dealing with daylilies here. And I have actually taken 3 of the quarters already and divided those up. I'll show you how I'm going to divide this up. As you can see, this root mass here, that is solid. It's like a rock. Very hard, very solid, very compacted weeds and the plant there. So I'm going to take and I'm going to actually get in there. It's going to seem kind of radical. Going to start breaking that apart. Going to work, turn it and pull some of the soil away. Just kind of work some of that away. Sometimes it helps to shake a little dirt off there. See, some of that already broke away now. So what that does is it exposes this root mass. It's already divided at once. And if I have any weeds that grow into this, and that's very common with daylilies, if you don't have any fabric down or any rock down, you'll get weeds like this quackgrass. And some other day I'll talk to you about quackgrass. But quackgrass is a very, very difficult weed. It's extremely hard to kill, and it is enemy number 1 for a lot of gardeners. So I just keep working this apart with my hands, kind of breaking it apart. Get some soil off of that. So there I got a plant right there. I'll be putting that in my garden. Work it again. That one doesn't have any roots, so I'll let that go. This one has some weed in there, so I kind of tease that weed away, but there I got another one. Tease a little bit more here, clean this up a little bit. There's another one. Get some soil off of here. Break that apart maybe one more time. There I got another one. Want to check it, make sure I don't have any weeds growing in there. So I got roots and got that one. And then I finally have this last one. So I had this clump that we took out of the garden, and it was one plant, and I think we've divided this thing up into about 15 plants now. So you say, okay, well, what are you going to do with those 15 plants? I'm going to actually put those in a garden row. And Jared's going to show you a little bit what that looks like, and I'm going to let them grow. I'm going to let them, I'm going to water them, and I'm going to fertilize them, and I'm going to take good care of them this summer. And you will not believe how big they get and how beautiful they are by the end of the summer. And then next fall, when I go to transplant these things, they're going to be all ready to go, and they're going to be healthy as can be. Ironically, we have this one plant that was all root bound, and it wasn't really going anywhere. You know, it would bloom, but it was limited. It wasn't really as healthy as it could be. But when you divide it up, all of a sudden, now not only did I multiply that plant from 1 to about 15 plants, but these plants that I put in the ground now, and I water and I nurture them and I fertilize them, they are going to not only be productive, but they're going to be very healthy, and they are going to explode because now they have the room to grow and they have room to expand. Pastor Mark's been talking about pruning. He's been talking about bearing fruit. Hebrews chapter 12 talks to us about God disciplining us, and he disciplines those that he loves. You know, I'm sure that if this plant had failings, which it doesn't, but I'm sure it wasn't pleasant for this plant to be torn up into all these different pieces. But because it got torn up and it got really kind of destroyed in a sense, it's going to not only multiply, but it's going to be stronger, and it produces now from 1 to 15 plants. I think that there's spiritual truth in that for us, that God does prune us. God does allow us to go through some difficult things. He does discipline us at times, but he does it because he loves us. And he does it because he wants to produce something great in us. It's not uncommon for us to go through difficult times. We all go through them. There's nobody that is free from the difficulty. We all have that as humans. We all have difficulties, trials, tribulations, different things that happen to us. We all have that in common. God allows us and puts us in difficult situations sometimes because he's training us. He's testing us. He wants to make more out of us because he wants us to produce more fruit. Great fruit, not only for his kingdom, but fruit that blesses and helps others. You know, these flowers here, these daylilies, are beautiful. And they will put out some nice blooms yet this summer, but next year, they're going to be spectacular. But they wouldn't be spectacular if I just left them all in one clump and they were all root bound and kind of stuck there. But when I divided those up and I made more out of that clump, I gave them the chance to grow. I gave them water, I gave them nourishment, give them fertilizer, give them space. They're going to thrive. God does the same thing for us. Hey, I hope if you are a gardener, I hope maybe you enjoyed this. If you're not, the spiritual truth is great nonetheless. And we'll bring you back out to the garden some other time this summer. And I hope that you enjoyed our time today. Have a great day.